This is a garden tool shed thing. We have like a garden beds out here, and so I build this to store a whole bunch of just all the bits and pieces that we need, all the tools and stuff. But it has one problem. It still gets pretty wet, and we store things like gloves and other kind of assortments of things that are better off if they don't get wet. So today, let's build a little cabinet right here with doors to stop things from getting wet. Let's do it. I think it's actually a pretty straightforward build. It's really just a bit of a box, kind of like a freestanding cabinet. For the material, it's just going to be some of the cedar that I have left over from some garden beds, I think, that'll withstand the weather really well. The one thing it really needs to do is we want to be able to put the gloves in a plastic container so that the inevitable spiders that are going to get in and make this thing kind of their rental, free rental, don't end up sort of in the gloves themselves. Which, I mean, I grew up in Australia, so spiders are way more terrifying there than they are here in Canada, but we don't want spiders in our gloves no matter what. I think we start just by building a cabinet, by building the general carcass of it, and then we can kind of go from there. I'm not really sure if I should plane these down or not. Like, these ones are really rickety, and so they're not going to make for good sides. But these ones aren't too bad, and I just need to join them together to get the width that I need, or the depth that I need out of the box. I don't want to plane them down because then I lose too much of the thickness. And the thickness is important because we're going to have the hinges buried in these, and I need the hinges to be able to have somewhere to sit and seat. And if I take too much off, there won't be enough room for the hinge, which is a bad situation to be in. I think I'm just going to try and use the best boards for the sides of the carcass. The ones by best, I mean the ones that are the flattest, and not plane them down, join them together, hope for the best. These are the hinges that I'm going to use. I have these left over. Oh God. I have these left over from a kitchen that we took apart in the basement. And they work. Where are you? They only work if you don't take too much off. Although we've got about ½ an inch. It's about half there. So even if we do need to like plane off a little bit, it'll still be okay. Well, now I'm rethinking things. Maybe I'll just joint one side of it and then get the inside nice and flat. And that way the inside will be nice and clean. And then I can get the inside and one sort of edge, like when they join together, will be nice and clean. But I'll leave the outside kind of rough and rustic because I don't want this to look too nice. I mean, it's meant to be fitting into that like piece that I have outside already. Yeah. Where are you? Where am I? There we go. Can you see me? I don't know. Doesn't matter. So we've planed down one side of it and one edge. So these are going to be the sides of the cabinet. So now they'll like join together kind of nicely like that. And then when they go together, they'll be nice and flat. Let's join them together. I wasn't going to glue them, but now I'm going to glue them. It's just easier. So it's going to have doors, but I don't want it to just be like wood panel, but I have something for that. This is opaque acrylic type stuff. I don't know if you can see that, but see, I mean, it's got like a plastic film on it right now, but once you take that off, it looks actually pretty good. I had this for another project, actually. It was the same sort of concept of like, it was used for the doors. So what this is going to be is the doors will go up against like that. It'll be a frame and panel door. And then this will be floating in the middle. So it just gives it a bit of a unique kind of look. It's also acrylic, so it's plastic. So it's kind of more weather resistant, resilient, whatever that word is. So you can sort of see, if you use your wonderful imaginations, that's what the door might look like. But I gotta wait for the wood panels to finish drying up before I can cut this, because I don't know what size they need to be. But that's pretty much ready to go. I might cut grooves in here, in the sides, just so that those will fit in nicely. And then these will just be pocket joined together. I like it. I think we're just going to have to, that one's bowed a bit, isn't it? I think the reality is we're just going to have to accept that it's not going to be a perfect cabinet because they've all bowed a bit. They've all dried out, and I only planed them on one side, which means that they're not going to be very flat. And I'm just going to have to accept that that's going to have to be okay. Well, they've all had it happen. I can tell because when these clamps went on, they were nice and tight, and now they're just falling off. Guess it makes the clamps easier to come off then. wobbly. We're just going to make it up with the pieces. We're going to accept that it's going to be a little wobbly. Those ones aren't too bad. This one's kind of terrible. This one can be the top maybe. That way it doesn't matter as much. And these ones can be the sides. But now I need to cut a groove so that I can fit a panel in, which will be the back panel. Just try and push that down as much as possible. So it's looking pretty good. It's getting, I mean, it's done. Now I just need to modify the garden toolshed thing so that I can install it. I'm probably going to have to install a piece of wood like on this side because this thing comes out, the top comes out over here, and I'll need to attach it on this side and maybe put some screws down in the middle, but let's do that. Day's sunny. It's autumn here. It's come in full bore. So now's a good time to get out there and get it installed before the rain really hits. Well, there you go. I think it looks great. I'm really happy with how that turned out. Now, I don't know if it's going to keep everything dry or not and rust free, but in this kind of weather, it's got to help. So, I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.